are set to go. Clemson in the home whites. And they are pumped at Littlejohn. Booker to jump center against Henderson. Well, the referees just can't throw the ball up, can they?
Got a 6'4" guy against a 6'7" guy, and it's below the neck. You get that tip.
It's a lost art.
Clemson starting out in man-to-man.
This is Shire. Good rebound by Singler, but he's out of bounds.
And Shire has not been shooting the ball well at all in ACC games. Just 26% for Shire since ACC play started.
Not a good way for your back to start a game. DeMontez Stitt, the point guard, with Smith on him. KC Rivers. Nice dump off, good block from behind, but a foul will be called on Lance Thomas. That will be his first.
Duke also in man-to-man, and KC Rivers, with Duke switching, just curls that screen. Draws the defense to him, able to lay it off to Booker, and Booker can be the difference in this game. He reminds you of DeJuan Blair a little bit from Pittsburgh. He's undersized, but he's a lefty, great offensive rebounder, and a guy that can really score down in the post.
What you're saying is he's a man.
He is a stud.
Booker was hurt so much last year. Never really had 100% chance to show the kind of player he was, but he's shown him this year.
Well, and he's avoided foul trouble as well, and that's a big key, is for him to stay on the floor.
Good matchup between Stitt and Smith. This is Henderson, who's just been on fire.
And he's got a matchup he can drive.
Little jump hook, beautiful shot by Henderson, who is averaging 20.4 points a game in his last 7 outings and has been particularly good in ACC games.
Boy, that was a great screen by Kyle Singler that forced that switch. And anytime you switch, Henderson is going to be able to drive it right. You've got to sit on his right hand.
KC Rivers with that last miss for Clemson. They're going to need his outside shooting. Speaking of outside shooting, Shire with a miss, but Thomas is there. And you're right about Shire. His stroke has been way off.
Well, he has really been struggling, but he's doing everything else pretty darn well. He's a gamer, but he has not been hitting that shot.
Oglesby hasn't had a touch yet. He's also an important part of this Clemson offense.
Well, Oglesby is going to have to set screens in order to get open. He's not going to be able to just run off screens and find shots.
Duke has the best scoring defense in the ACC. Shot clock is down to 8. Rivers penetrates, short arms. Sykes with a foul.
This is a very good offensive rebounding team, and Booker on the ball right now in their press with 1-2-1-1.
Good steal by Rivers, goes right to Booker. That's the key, isn't it?
The key is the press. Will Clemson be able to turn this Duke team over throughout this game?
Sykes tried to draw the charge, went down when he was first touched. I think Sykes is a little stronger than that.
Well, this morning in practice, Mike Krzyzewski went over how to break this press, and he talked about catching and facing. Catch the ball, pivot, and face the defense and make a play. That was more of a catch and turn, and that was a real problem because that allowed the defense to come from behind and knock it away. You've got to catch it and be strong with it.
Henderson. Here comes Stitt. Great speed in the open court. No. Henderson back the other way. And Henderson all the way against Booker.
Booker looked like he didn't want to pick up a foul.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that was really a bad shot by Gerald Henderson that led to a run out, but Stitt couldn't complete the play, and Henderson could on the other end.
Got to watch the 5-second call. Almost got it. Rivers and foul on Henderson.
Well, anytime that somebody jumps out on that hedge, you've got to attack that hedge to pick up the foul. Nice job.
Thursday Night Showcase presented by T. Rowe Price. A doubleheader on ESPN at 7. Temple takes on number 9, Xavier, in the Atlantic 10. Then at 9, we go to the Big Ten, number 20, Illinois against Wisconsin. Thursday Night Showcase presented by T. Rowe Price on ESPN.
We talk about a must-win for Wisconsin. They've lost 5 in a row, and they're going to have to come out with everything they've got against the...
But a scoring update for you. Wake Forest is getting whacked in Miami. How about that?
Time you go on the road in the ACC, you have got to be a tight group, and Wake is a young team, and the road punishes young in this league.
That comes after that huge loss at Georgia Tech. Or maybe a little hangover game for the Demon Deacons.
You know, it could be. I mean, if they had a game to Duke, that would have been 3 losses in a row for Wake Forest.
Tanner Smith, 5, is into the Clemson lineup along with Grant. Grant has it inside for the easy slam. Grant's been playing well. Bad pass and a turnover. Too high for Shire from Singler.
Well, too high and too fast. You don't want to say panic, but it was something that Singler should have taken more time with. He didn't have that much pressure on him. He tried to beat the defense and just made a poor decision.
Mike Krzyzewski said the way he inbounds passes tonight will be very critical because Clemson likes to force you, as any pressing team does, into certain areas of the court where that trap can get to you. And Singler has to make good decisions all night long.
That decisions is the key point, Mike. People think that point guards are the ones that have to make decisions. Everybody on the floor in a game like this has to make really good decisions because you're going to find the ball in your hands in different spots than you're used to.
Booker got it. Well, especially with Duke, because Nolan Smith is not your typical point guard.
No, he is not a classic point guard. He's an initiator. There's another turnover.
Henderson, bad pass, picked off by Smith.
Well, Duke is throwing the ball all over the gym.
And Clemson is catching most of it. Right down the lane for the layup goes Potter. Clemson, 11-6. And they've got Duke rattled right now.
And when you're a team that is trying to deepen your belief, getting off to a good start is really important. And Clemson has gotten off to just the start they wanted.
Couldn't agree with you more. Henderson is the guy they look to in situations like this. And that's why they look to him. He is so cool.
And the confidence he is projecting right now, I think his teammates have to take a lot of strength from the confidence he's playing with.
7 points for Henderson. Triple team and a steal by Smith. Good defense by Duke. Shire. Cut off at the baseline. Singler, tough shot out of the corner and missed it. Stitt will pull up.
A couple of bad decisions in a row by DeMontez Stitt. Just a sophomore. Took the ball into trouble 2 possessions ago and then pulled the trigger on a bad shot there.
He has been in a shooting slump, especially from the outside.
Now, coming into this game, he was 3 of his last 24. A little flex cut.
Smith too strong. Thomas offensive rebound, and he's fouled. We've got a timeout on the court. 14:23 to go first half. Clemson by a bucket. Clemson with the early 2-point lead. What's been the difference so far?
Well, the difference has been Clemson's press. They've been able to turn Duke over. They've forced 3 turnovers off the press. That's led to 6 points for Clemson, and they have been easy ones. The little stick back by Trevor Booker, throwing the ball directly out of bounds and then throwing the ball to a player that's really running down the court. A bad pass by Henderson. That was a chest pass trying to throw it really 30 feet cross court. Just a poor decision, and Clemson has helped Duke's cause a little bit by making some poor decisions in their half-court offense.
And doesn't it seem like there have been more than 3 turnovers? Maybe they were so egregious that it just looks like more.
Yeah, a frenetic pace, and that's not what Duke wants. They want to be able to break this pressure with some poise and then get some good things on the other end. But this Clemson team plays so hard. And that's one of the things I admire most about the way this team plays. They come at you and at you and at you.
Thomas, not a good free throw shooter, hits the first and makes the second as well. And Zubek will check in for him. The 7-footer making his first appearance. 4 points for Thomas as he goes to the bench.
Zubek comes into the game with Trevor Booker on the bench. And that puts Kyle Singler on Raymond Sykes. Sykes not a big-time scorer, but a high-energy player.
Andre Young is in to play the point for Clemson. Greg Paulus will pick him up. Young fires from three, too strong. Sykes with a rebound, but it's going to be a foul on Clemson.
It looked like they got Sykes with a little push-off. He's an outstanding offensive rebounder. Now you can see Oliver Purnell using something he calls double fist, given that signal. That's more of a man-to-man run and jump instead of their normal 1-2-1-1 pressure.
McClure is in for Duke for the first time. Mike Krzyzewski goes deep into his bench. Singler, a good ball handler, can always help beat the press. Shire seems to be just struggling at both ends of the court right now.
Well, he is playing hard, but when your shot isn't going down, it can really be difficult.
Singler with a shot clock at 10 had it partially blocked by Grant.
Great defense and terrific anticipation on that shot by Jeri Grant.
Oglesby, that may be the first time he's touched it. There's a double team. Oglesby trying to step through. Nearly lost the ball. Sykes has it.
Well, that's a good job by Sykes to come to the ball off that trap.
Rivers, tough shot, followed by Grant.
It won't show it in the box score, but Sykes made that play possible by an alert play to come to the ball and present himself as a receiver.
You would think with Clemson's athleticism that they would be a better rebounding team. Statistically, they have not been, but tonight they are.
A nice job by Young inside to pick up Singler on that roll.
Crowd did not like this call. It's going to be a foul against Clemson. Saturday, ESPN brings you two spectacular college matchups. First at 6 Eastern, the number one team in the nation, the Connecticut Huskies against Michigan. And then at 9, the Saturday night primetime game, Memphis and Gonzaga. Oglesby had that last foul, by the way. That was his first.
This Clemson team can be very good in their half-court defense. They're good in the press, but they're also good in the half-court.
Wallace got caught up in the air and threw it away. The fourth Blue Devil turnover of the first half.
I think they need to go back inside to Booker and let him touch it.
Oglesby.
That's a shot they can get later on in the shot clock. If they go to Booker, he might be able to collapse that defense, not only get a shot, but be able to kick it back out.
Thomas down the lane with a runner. Got it.
What a pretty move and a poor closeout by Booker. Thomas not much of a threat to shoot that ball, but the shot fake just lifted up the defender just a bit. Great pass.
Beautiful pass inside to Rivers. Beautiful assist by Andre Young, who leads the ACC in assist to turnover ratio better than 3-1. Foul on Booker on the press before the ball was inbounded. But
I think it's really important this game tonight because of two losses in the loss column. If Clemson can drop Duke down to 2 losses, all of a sudden they're back in this thing. And we've got an entirely different ACC race.
Paulus with a lazy pass, nearly had it picked off. Clemson by a bucket. There's another lazy pass, and Oglesby does get it. Thomas with the mistake this time. Boy, the pressure has been terrific by Clemson's defense.
And the anticipation, seeing the ball and making that move to jump out in the passing lane, and really nice change of pace at the end of that for Oglesby to let the defender fly by and he could get that layup.
You want to get the ball to Henderson. They did. It's going to be a hold against Clemson.
Yeah, they got Young on the hold. You can see just a very lazy bounce pass there, and shooting the gap was Oglesby. Watch how he slows down here and just lets the defender over-pursue so he can lay that in. A nice job by Terrence Oglesby, who's not known as a defender. He's known more as a shooter, but he's a much better athlete than he gets credit for and a much tougher kid.
Boy, Oliver Purnell is really hot. Clemson called for its 6th team foul. Duke has been whistled for only 2, and a lot of them have been pretty touchy, and Oliver is really upset.
Well, you don't want to let that take your aggressiveness away. And
Singler, was that pretty?
Well, Singler got away with a push there. He's got to be a little careful.
Final on the Miami game, 79-52. Holy cow.
See, Booker's open. He's got to get that ball.
Stick back in. This is Oglesby. They got it to Booker and Zubak. And there's going to be a standing ovation because a foul was called against Duke. Zubak gets his first.
Well, that's not a good matchup for Brian Zubak. I'm not sure it's a good matchup for Duke, really. They had Lance Thomas on him to start. It's probably a better matchup for Singler, but I don't think Duke can afford to get Singler in foul trouble guarding Booker.
Agreed.
They need to keep going to him.
Here's a hold on Singler. That'll be 1 on Kyle Singler. A little touchy, isn't it?
Yeah, but, you put your hands on a guy out on the perimeter, they're going to call it.
Booker. How about that? Trevor Booker with 7. You got to get more than 2 for that one. Singler beats the press. Good pass to Henderson. Wide open. Too strong. Smith, good hustle to keep it alive. Dyer down the lane. Had it blocked from behind. Oglesby ahead of the pack. Missed the layup.
Just in too much of a hurry and needed to use the backboard.
Couldn't make up his mind. Which way was he going to do it? Potter for 3.
But Booker goes hard to the offensive glass. Just fought Singler.
Potter gets caught up inside. Back to Oglesby. Holy cow, where did that come from? Oglesby must have made up his mind he was going to shoot that ball because he was a long way out.
Terrence Oglesby, conscience-free. I'll tell you what, that ball hit the ground so fast when it went through that net, it was unbelievable.
Well, Oglesby's going to go have a seat next to Oliver Purnell. What a jam.
And the ball hit the ground before he did. That's unbelievable. And he dunked that ball on the way up.
Yeah, that's had some serious stuff on it. Oglesby wants to take a 30-footer. He gets to sit down. I think whether it goes in or not.
Well, just because his arm's got to be tired. I mean, that's like a shot put.
Almost a steal. No backcourt violation because it was touched by Duke.
This ball has got to go inside. That's where Clemson's got the advantage.
Smith, good job to get his hands up.
Better put some ice on that arm, son. When he gets hot, he can drill it.
Yeah, but he wasn't hot. You don't take 30-footers when you're stone cold.
Booker. Casey Rivers was having his jersey pulled. It wasn't called, but Booker made it all worthwhile.
Booker has 9. The lead grows to 6.
See, when Gerald Henderson caught that ball, he never faced the defense. You have to catch, turn, and face the defense so that you can see. There was no vision there for Henderson. And right now, Duke has got to show a little bit more poise against this intense pressure from Clemson.
Mike Krzyzewski knew this was what would determine the game. He said his concern was if there's a turnover, Clemson is a lot closer to your basket than you are. And that leads to runouts.
Well, it can, but on that last, Duke's trying to thread needles. And they need to show a little bit more poise, make pass fakes, and use the aggressiveness of this Clemson defense against them. But when you get sped up, that's easy to say, and it's very hard to do.
It's a natural tendency against that pressure to try to go faster.
well, you see an opening, but Clemson closes those openings very, very quickly.
Rivers kicks it outside to Stitt, and Stitt traveled. That's only the second Clemson turnover of the half. And you think about Duke with its pressure man-to-man forcing a lot more turnovers, and Clemson committing a lot more.
Well, Clemson hasn't had to go too many times against half-court defense. This has been an up-and-down game, and that's advantage Clemson.
Singler out of the corner, wide open, missed it. Shire, nice job of tipping it out to Smith.
Duke has not been driving the ball enough. They've been a jump shooting team for the most part in this first half.
Smith, another lazy pass. Nearly had it stolen, and it is out of bounds. Duke playing uncharacteristically sloppy basketball. All right, thanks, John. I think Bonds would look really good in stripes. Don't you? Let's go to Heather Cox.
How do I follow that? Well, guys, an assist to Clemson's quick start certainly goes to a very well-known sports psychologist named Joel Fish, who's behind the bench. Now, he's known Coach Brunell for about 15 years, has worked with a ton of famous athletes. I don't know about Barry Bonds, but has certainly worked with the NBA and Major League Baseball throughout the years. He has worked with this team this season and was with them in the locker room right before tip. The theme of his pregame speech was reaching that next level, what it takes to be a top 10 team mentally and deepening their belief. He's been very active in the huddles throughout the game so far, Mike.
Heather, I think anything that makes you more confident is helpful. Anything.
There's no question. And I would prefer that Joel Smith come with me when I play golf. I could use him on the first tee.
He doesn't do hopeless cases. Shire. Henderson, after a great start, has been quiet. Casey Rivers is on him right now.
Okay, there are some hard screens being set out there right now. Kyle Singler is setting most of them.
Henderson used the glass. What a touch.
His development is remindful of Grant Hill's.
It's a great comparison.
I mean, it takes time for some players for the light to go on and for them to learn how to play and how to be a star. And Gerald Henderson has learned how to be a star. And over the last 7 or 8 games, there's not been a better player in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and there haven't been many better players nationally.
That was his first field goal in 4 minutes. He's up to 9 points. Here's a blocking foul.
You see with Gerald Henderson over his last 7 games, 20 points per game. But his shooting has been off the charts. He's taking mostly good shots. He's a strong right-hand driver. He's only 6'4", yet he's rebounding at a high rate. And he's also at the top of the ACC, at least in ACC competition, in steals. I mean, he's become a complete player, and that gives Duke 2 of those. I mean, Kyle Singler is a complete player, and now Gerald Henderson has become a complete player as well.
Henderson plays more like he's 6'8".
He does. How many 6'4" guys jump center? Oh. He jumps center.
23-17, Clemson matching its biggest lead of the ball game with 6:27 to go. Potter gets a nice hand as he goes out.
Boy, what a poor pass.
Boy, it sure was.
Singler didn't even look when he threw that ball.
Had turned his head away, looked the other way, then came back. Oglesby, again, looked like he made up his mind. He was going to take a shot.
Duke has been throwing the ball all over the gym tonight, and Mike Krzyzewski spent a lot of time yesterday in practice, this morning at the shoot-around, preaching a staple of his. That's catch and face.
That's 8 turnovers. Good play by Rivers. Missed the shot, got it back. He is a terrific rebounder. Always has been. Top 20 Clemson all time. Boy, Oglesby really wants to jack that thing up, doesn't he? Knocks this one down. Oglesby, of those who qualify with three-point shooting, is number 2 in the ACC.
And when he knocks those down, both he and Casey Rivers, almost a turnover.
Biggest lead of the night. Shire was wide open. Good pass to McClure and a good double clutch to avoid the block.
Well, a very good shot fake. And against a team that is scrambling and in help mode, a shot fake or a pass fake can be very effective.
Good anticipation by Shire.
And there's where a pass fake should have been used by Young.
Singler. Booker with a block. One of the best shot blockers in the entire country.
And a great recovery. He was beaten off the dribble and recovered in an athletic fashion to do that.
Oglesby and Henderson go down. They're going to call a foul on Oglesby.
Well, this game is getting really physical. Terrific block by the left-hander. And a great job not fouling. When he moved his feet, he gave ground, he kept the angle because he knew he'd have a chance to block it at the end.
Heather, what about Booker and all those blocks?
Well, it's certainly something that concerned Coach K and these Blue Devils. In fact, he told his team during pregame, you know what, against this team, especially against Trevor Booker, layups might not always be your best option. Instead, look for the three, look for the outside shot. Really told his team to take away Booker's shot blocking ability.
He is number 5 all-time at Clemson. He averages 2.5 blocks a game. He already has 2 in this game. And you talk about this game getting more physical. They were calling so many touch fouls early. What do they do now? Are we going to have any players left?
Well, they'll always call touch fouls on the ball. Anytime you put your hands on a ball handler, they wind up calling that. I'm talking more off the ball. When screens are being set,
yes, sir.
There's a lot of extracurricular stuff going on off the ball. And this game has really been a physical contest off the ball.
26-21, Oglesby, if he has an opening,
well, Elliott Williams got burned going over the top of that screen, and Oglesby just was able to flare off of it and fade. That was a really nice job of setting his feet quickly.
He has that nice quick release as well. Elliott Williams, number 20, is in the ballgame. This Clemson crowd at full throat right now.
A nice job by Grant of sitting on that left hand to Williams and forcing him right.
Williams, after he got it back, took a half step and hit the midcourt line. That's a turnover. That's 9 for Duke in the first half.
You know, Mike, Clemson is known for their full-court pressure. I'll tell you, their half-court defense is good.
Yes, it is.
They have done a very good job in the half-court. You saw a lot of that against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech shredded the pressure of Clemson up at Virginia Tech, and in the second half, this Clemson team really locked them down defensively in the half-court, something they're not known for, but they can do it.
The only time Clemson's defense let them down this year was against North Carolina, and that was the night when everything let them down.
Yeah, I'm not sure Clemson yet believes that they can win there. And if everything doesn't go perfectly right out of the gate, I think there are times when you kind of pack it in.
Absolutely. Well, you can say anything you want about these players weren't here in 1926. That streak doesn't mean anything to these guys. Yes, it does.
It does, and plus, you know, they've never done it. They've never gone there and had any success. Nobody that they've ever played with or talked to has had any success there. And that's why this game is important for Clemson. You know, they know they're good, and they know they're among the best teams in the country.
Nobody their great-grandfather ever talked to can show them any success there.
That's true, but they want to prove they're among the power brokers in this league. The Duke, you know, with Duke and North Carolina, and you have to win games against them for that to happen.
Approaching the 4-minute mark, it's an 8-point lead. Clemson has dominated this ballgame in virtually every area you can think of. Smith got caught up on the drive and stolen by Grant. A good help defense.
Good help defense and great hands. Jerai Grant has great hands. I call him Jerai. Jerai Grant has great hands.
Nolan Smith is a point guard coming into this game, only had 3 more assists and turnovers. He is not, the way you draw it up in the book, as a pass first guy. And what a move by Potter. Holy cow.
Well, more of a shooter, but what a great drive and finish.
McClure double team. Got to beat the 10-second count and barely do. That wears out players. When you have to beat the 10-second count and still face a good defense, that's tough. Henderson with a miss. Thomas tried to keep it alive and does. McClure, mid-range jumper, too strong. Grant with another rebound. Boy, is Grant playing well lately.
He has brought a lot of energy off that bench, and he has been productive.
Clemson playing like it belongs right now.
And with the depth that they have to bring guys in to play defense, they can really wear you down.
The lead is 10.
In this last 2.5 minutes, very important for Clemson. They don't want to give any ground back.
Stitt against Henderson. Good crossover dribble to get free, but McClure gets the rebound.
Stitt is a better driver than he is a shooter. He needed to really try to go by his man to create something there.
2:14 to go in the first half. 31-21 Clemson. Our Thursday night showcase presented by T. Rowe Price brings you a doubleheader on ESPN. First at 7 Eastern, Temple takes on number 9 Xavier in the Atlantic 10. Then at 9 we go to the Big Ten. 21st ranked Illinois meets Wisconsin. That's Thursday night showcase presented by T. Rowe Price.
Xavier, speaking of top 10 teams, this is a balanced squad. Derek Brown has matured into a star. There are very few shooters out there that can shoot it with B.J. Raymond. And C.J. Anderson, one of the toughest players you're ever going to find. Not a great shooter, but he can find his way to the rim even if you're playing off of him. Xavier is one of the best teams in the country.
And one of 2 top 25 teams that was unranked when the season started. Duke's last field goal came 3.5 minutes ago.
Really important 2-minute stretch here. This is where veteran teams on the road can separate themselves. And traditionally, this is where Duke has been able to really take away the will of some other teams. This is important for Clemson.
Loose ball. Poaches got away with a grab. He reached out and got a handful of Sykes' jersey.
Smart play by Stitt to pull it back out and run some offense.
11 turnovers forced by the Clemson defense in the first half.
Oh, what a terrible pass.
Here comes Paulus. Duke has the advantage. But McClure is not the guy you want to get it to because he doesn't look to shoot. Shire, who has just been stone cold. Smith. Good job of pulling up before he got the charge.
What an aggressive play by Tanner Smith. Versatile player. And he comes into the game and plays with confidence. Almost another turnover by McClure, leaving his feet to pass.
Yeah, he got lucky, found somebody to throw it to. A standing ovation already from the Clemson fans, and boy, the Tigers deserve it. Coates is trying to drive.
That's correct. That had to be. Didn't that hit the backboard first? That's goaltending.
Should have been goaltending. Stitt in the lane. Rims out.
What a frenetic pace. It has been all Clemson in this first half. The Tigers have been outstanding.
Yes, they have. Duke needs a bucket in the worst way. Shire right now not even looking for his shot because he hasn't had much success with it. Poaches kicks it out to McClure. He's not looking either. Now Poaches will take a three and hits the side of the backboard. Well, you have to wonder with Poaches and McClure out there, if they're both on the same side of the floor, where's your scoring going to come from?
Yeah, this is not a good offensive lineup for Mike Krzyzewski, but he's probably trying to send a message as they go into halftime. But it has been all Clemson. Oliver Purnell's squad has been tougher in this ballgame.
All right, John. We'll look forward to that. If you just joined us, if you're watching at home, surprise, 33-21. Clemson leading Duke, and it has probably been worse than that. The Tigers have dominated the Blue Devils.
Clemson wants to try to let this shot go with about 4 seconds left on the clock, so they have time for an offensive rebound. That is not what they were looking for. A horrible angle from which to feed the post. He was leading Booker out of bounds, not to the basket.
The sixth turnover by Clemson on that pass by Oglesby. Duke will have 3.9 seconds.
A little surprised Clemson isn't putting on full court pressure here. It's almost like a football team in prevent defense.
Yeah.
All you do is prevent yourself from winning.
Podsus. Good if it goes. Be a surprise to some, but Clemson's good.
Clemson's really good. I think they took the fight to Duke in that first half, and anytime that happens, the first 4 minutes of the second half is always of vital importance. And this Clemson team, they turned Duke over 11 times in the first half. They had 9 steals. They blocked 5 shots defensively. Clemson was magnificent. They were the aggressor.
One of the big stats, Shire has not scored in this ballgame. He's now missed all 5 shots. Got to get him in the scorebook.
Singler, Shire, and Smith for Duke. A combined 1 for 11, 2 points, but they've turned it over 7 times.
Sykes would have been a spectacular follow. Stitt, nice pass into Booker.
Well, this guy has got to touch it more.
Good pass to Sykes. Nice reverse.
Booker scored 9 points in that first half. He went 4 of 4 from the field. I'm no math major, but he's got to touch the ball every time down.
Singler trying to take it all the way in. He is fouled by DeMontez Stitt. Oh, checked it.
They called that on Singler.
They called the foul on Singler for a push-off. They called it right in front of Mike Krzyzewski, and he's not happy.
Well, Young did a really good job of sticking with him and jumping right in front. And Singler, I'm sure, must have thrown an arm out or something. I didn't see it.
I didn't either. Mike Krzyzewski said he saw it. When this crowd responds to absolutely everything tonight, then why not? They have really got to be geeked for this.
Well, it's been a great atmosphere. Talk about tough places to play on the road. This is one of the toughest.
Rivers. Basket and the foul.
Going back to the play before where Kyle Singler picked up the foul, you can see just a little arm in the back.
Yep.
And the push by Singler. And here's Singler trying to come over from the weak side to draw that charge. Just slides right underneath Rivers. And KC Rivers only 1 of 5 in the first half. But, you know, Micah, yesterday in practice, he picked up a hip pointer. He wasn't able to finish practice, but is gutting it out in this game.
Well, that was a huge call, too, because it was the 4th foul on Singler. Let's go to Heather.
Well, guys, it is clear that Jay is a Duke disciple because, Jay, you said exactly verbatim what the Duke coaching staff told me, which was, yes, in the first half, Clemson brought the fight to us. They said in the second half, we have to punch back. He said we were way too soft on the press. The locker room was very intense, very focused, all about mental, not strategic. They said right now we'll see what our guys are made of.
Yeah, Heather, that's a great point. The mental versus the strategic. I mean, you can X and O all you want to, but a lot of times when you're on the road, it's about collective heart and being a tight team. And right now, Clemson has been the tighter team and the tougher team. They're doing all the tough things.
Stitt with the block on Smith. And it was knocked out of bounds, Duke basketball. Well, we saw Duke respond at Wake. They had a chance to win it. Henderson. Singler with the rebound. Stripped by Stitt on the way up. And the foul on Stitt.
Well, Clemson has been doing a lot of reaching in the second half. They've gotten a lot of deflections. But sometimes discretion has to be the better part of valor, especially when a shooter is going up for a shot. Stitt may have gotten all ball, but sometimes those things look like fouls and get called.
DeMontez Stitt said something to Mike Kitts, who called the foul. Good job by Jamie Luckey to get in there and say, hey, look, we're not going to put up with any of this. Foul is a foul. You guys' job is not to come up and question us.
Here you can see some of the intensity from that late huddle in the first half. Lance Thomas getting into some of his teammates, and Brian Zubek having a little bit to say. And sometimes it's got to be more than just talk. It's got to be action.
Smith got it.
Anytime there's an offensive rebound, I think that's the best time to shoot a three. You're in a scramble situation, and on the perimeter, you can step into it.
38-25. That three cuts the lead to 13. Oglesby.
See, Booker just outfought Lance Thomas for that ball. That was a big-time play by Trevor Booker. He's an outstanding offensive rebounder in large measure because he pursues the ball. He didn't surrender to that blockout, went after the ball with both hands, and he wasn't letting it go. He went after the ball, and Thomas was reaching for it.
When Booker gets his hands on it, it's staying there. Rivers gives it up to DeMontez Stitt.
They need to get the ball inside to Booker. Here's setting the ball screen.
Moving in against Thomas for the fadeaway jumper. And Booker just raises his hands like, hey, do you like that one? He has 11. What's not to like? It's 40-25, another steal.
Well, what another weak pass and a great play by Clemson.
Rivers missed the shot, but fouled by Henderson, who tried to sky and block it.
Boy, Rivers was trying to throw that thing down with authority when he really should have been trying to get to the rim quicker. If he had gotten to the rim quicker, he could have gotten an easy basket. Instead, he slowed down and tried to punch it, and that gave Gerald Henderson a chance to catch up. Boy, that Henderson skied for that thing.
Oh. He does have some serious hops. And Rivers at 61% goes to the line. This is the first. He'll get another.
Especially when you're not a good free throw shooter. You want to be able to get to that rim. You don't want to necessarily get fouled. And Gerald Henderson looks like he's been holding that wrist, which has been an issue for him last year.
Had to have surgery, very delicate surgery on a small bone in that wrist. Doesn't look serious. He wants a clear out.
Tough place to inbound the ball. That's an automatic trap. That's the coffin corner there.
Wallace, good job of keeping his head moving and his eyes up.
An incredible pursuit of the ball by Clemson.
It has been a withering press. Plumlee off Mike Krzyzewski's bench. They keep expecting this young man to break out.
He's got a lot of talent. Just a young player that's still trying to figure it out. I'll tell you, Jerake Grant has done a great job in this game. Help side defense has been very good. He's been very active. He was there to challenge that shot. And that was a tough shot that Plumlee just made.
As the season has worn along, he has become more and more productive for the Clemson Tigers. Smith, tough shot, he made it. Fadeaway threes are not easy.
Boy, that was a nice step-back move. Might have put a little bit extra into it, but you got to give him a lot of credit for backing off the defender. And a poor shot, poor decision by Gerald Henderson.
Smith again, passed on this one.
Duke looks rattled.
Potter gets it out to Stitt.
Smart decision to take it out, run some clock, make Duke guard in the half court.
You talked earlier about Clemson playing at North Carolina and how if you don't believe, you're not going to win. Well, obviously, they believe after that win last year against Duke in the ACC tournament that they can beat the Blue Devils. And tonight they are doing it by 17 with 15:29 to go in the game. This is a stat you will not see very often. Duke with 13 turnovers and 10 field goals for the game. That is a stunner, and it's huge because Clemson lives off of the turnover.
And right now at the free throw line, you're seeing the only offense that Duke has had all night. I mean, John Shire's had a bagel. He hasn't been able to get a shot to go down. Kyle Singler is not only in foul trouble, he hadn't been able to get a shot to go down. Singler only had 2 points in the first half. He was 1 of 5. I mean, it has been a struggle for the primary scorers for this Duke team. And Nolan Smith, who's not your classic point guard, has struggled. Had 3 turnovers in the first half.
And Duke showing no signs of making a major comeback. Heather, what do you have? We'll get back to Heather in a second. Paulus with a reach-in foul. Let's go to Heather.
Gerald Henderson is recovering from off-season wrist surgery, and during that last timeout, shaking it throughout the timeout and then tested it once he got back to the floor. The reason this play right here, you see that right wrist go into the backboard as he attempts the block. He came back out onto the floor to take those free throws, has since been substituted. Now, he hasn't been talked to by any of the athletic training staff, but the assistant coaches certainly checking in with him right now.
All right, thanks, Heather, and that would be a huge area of concern.
And
that kid's injured.
And it didn't look like it was just the backboard. It looked like he also twisted a little bit when he hit the deck with the floor. Duke switching all ball screens out front.
Rivers. Grant right there.
This Clemson bench has been outstanding. And Jerry Grant has been at the top of that list. Both he and David Potter
have done a great job off the pine for Oliver Purnell.
Good interior passing, but a block, and here comes Rivers. Grant. And no call. It is a 20-point lead. The Clemson bench has outscored Duke 19-4. Shire steps inside the three-point line and misses. If this was a fight right now, they'd stop it.
Clemson, their defense has been magnificent. They have forced Duke into challenge jump shots. Duke hasn't gotten anything going to the basket, and they've been unable to get to the free throw line.
And right now, Mike Krzyzewski has one starter on the floor. That's John Shire. Good reach in by Paulus. Makes the steal, and then Paulus is fouled by Rivers.
And not a very good decision by Casey Rivers after getting the ball stripped to foul.
Singler on the bench.
At some point, Mike Krzyzewski is going to have to go with Kyle Singler. He's got those 4 fouls, but there's still a lot of time left in this game. When you knock a couple shots down, get a couple stops. Right now, Clemson is playing without any game pressure on them.
Boy, what a screen in the backcourt.
Boy, he did set a beauty. Rivers gets his second foul. Excuse me, it's Booker. You don't see those screens coming. You get up counting your teeth.
Well, that's why the guy that's guarding the man setting the screen has to get up there and call that screen out.
Boy, Young all over Paulus. Bodies flying. Williams slashing in. A lot of contact, no whistle. Zubek with a follow.
Well, anytime a shot blocker comes over, you can get some offensive rebounds.
20 straight regular season losses for the Clemson Tigers.
Clemson has made some bad decisions the last couple times down. Casey Rivers taking it in some trouble, getting stripped and fouling right away. And then Tanner Smith taking a bad shot and charging.
Picked up his second foul. We have seen Duke make miracle comebacks before, but it's been a long time since we have seen them dominated like this.
Now, one thing Clemson doesn't want to do is
allow their offense to help Duke come back in this game.
Henderson takes it in, will draw the foul.
That was a smart play by Gerald Henderson to get the ball into the paint and get fouled. You get to the free throw line, you get the score without more time going off the clock, and then you can set up some full court pressure and try to get the tempo back in your favor.
One of the areas Henderson has greatly improved is at the free throw line this year. He came in with a career free throw shooting mark of 65%. He's up to 77 this season. 4 out of 5 tonight, 13 points, 5 boards, and he's been the offense, period.
There has been no other offense, and he's still shaking that right wrist. Clearly it's bothering him. This is an important possession for Clemson. They have pitched a couple possessions away, and they need to get something here.
Paulus, great hustle, got over and got a hand on it, knocked it away from Stitt.
Paulus trying to inject a little bit of emotion back into this team.
Oglesby returns. Mike Krzyzewski deep into his bench. Oglesby quicker than most people think.
Booker needs to touch the ball in the low post. They need to be resolute to get the ball into him. He has not touched it enough.
The one thing you can't do if you're Clemson is go into a shell and not try to score, just work time off the clock. Booker, offensive rebound, and Zubek got away with a push, had his hand in the middle of his back, just gave him a shove.
Booker just outworking his counterparts inside, and the balanced scoring attack that Duke usually sees is balanced only in 3 of the 4 have barely scored at all.
That's right. Booker, tough shot. Looked a little bit like Willis Reed.
I wouldn't know. That's way before my time, Mike. What a bad play by Henderson.
Horrible pass by Henderson. Oglesby open for 3. Look out. They're on their feet at Little John as the lead is 21. Reach in on Oglesby.
And not a good foul by Terrence Oglesby. You got to use your head, especially when you have a lead. But Clemson, it has been all Tigers.
Oglesby with a punctuation mark with 11:41 left. All right, if you had started the evening saying Wake Forest is going to lose on a road by 20 and Duke's going to lose on a road by 20, you could have gotten some pretty decent odds on that one.
Welcome to the ACC. If you go on the road and you don't bring the fight to the opponent, you're going to get it handed to you.
Paulus with a miss. Henderson with a follow shot, and Booker skies another rebound.
Hey, Booker not only rebounds the basketball in his area, he rebounds it out of his area.
You talked a couple of possessions ago. A basket here, a basket there, a defensive stop, and Duke's right back in it. As it turns out, Clemson is the one that got the big basket and the big defensive stop, and now they're up by 21.
Yeah, Clemson had a few loose possessions on offense, but it was, again, their defense that got them back on the positive side. I think they called a 5-second call here.
Yeah, I think they did. It's not going to be a timeout. Not going to be a timeout.
Yeah, that was a 5-second call. He looked like he made a motion for a timeout.
Well, this sort of reinforces something I said after the North Carolina debacle as Henderson will try a 3. Clemson, in spite of that game, is not the Clemson of old. This is a much, much better basketball team.
You know, Mike, I think we learned that more in the non-conference because Clemson played a really good non-conference schedule. That hasn't always been the case with Clemson.
Correct.
2 years ago when they started out 17 or 18-0 and then wound up in the NIT, I think that question still keeps getting asked. Like, you know, will they be able to keep going and hang on and get to the NCAA tournament? I don't even think that's an issue. They played a much better non-conference schedule. They're the real thing now.
I think people in the ACC know it, but I think the perception outside, they're still going to have to reinforce. Booker switched hands, put it up, can't hit it. Williams reaches in, and he'll be called for a holding foul.
Williams was going the other way, and Potter was going after the ball. That has been the story all night long. Here you can see the records. North Carolina over the last 3 years has won the most games, Duke second, and Clemson right there with Duke in almost number of games won and winning percentage, right in the same ballpark. Clemson is a much different program under Oliver Purnell. He has really built this program in a thoughtful manner with a plan.
Potter at the line, hits it. Shire is back in for Duke, and Mike Krzyzewski has used just about everybody that normally plays in the game and stage tonight. And none of the combinations have really worked for him.
Well, it has been because of the way Clemson has played. I mean, Clemson defensively has dominated this game. Absolutely dominated it.
Got to hand it to them. They're up 55-32. Shire finally makes a shot. And that's got to be good for him, not just tonight, but long term.
I think what would be good for him long term is to make shot after shot after shot. I mean, he's really struggled.
That confidence back.
And Shire is shooting only 26% in ACC play. I mean, he shot the ball fairly well in non-conference play, but not great. Was doing other things well, but in ACC play, he hasn't been able to get anything to drop. And after a while, that starts to get frustrating. There's no player that can overcome bad shooting over the course of a season. It gets to you after a while.
Nobody is immune from the pressure that you put on yourself and the indecision that you tend to make as a shooter. You don't want to come and just jack one up, even if you're wide open, because you're going to hesitate because of your lack of confidence.
But the positive for Shire is he does so many other things well, and he's just he's one of those warriors that brings it every game. And whether his shot, he doesn't value himself by whether his shot's going in, but clearly it's a frustrating thing for him.
Singler. Well, you know, no matter what, Duke is going to play hard down the stretch. Thomas. That could have easily been his 5th foul. Instead, it's a holding call after the initial contact.
Yeah, Rivers was there, but he kind of flopped. He should have held his ground there. See, tonight, Clemson and Miami going against Duke and Wake Forest. I mean, just an unbelievable happening on the road for these two top-ranked teams. Got to give both these opponents of the higher-ranked teams a ton of credit.
Well, you sure do.
I mean, Oliver Purnell has recruited a ton of high-character guys into this program, and none more so than Trevor Booker and Casey Rivers. And Booker has been terrific in this game.
Last year, Trevor Booker played much of the season with what he described as an oven mitt on his left hand. He's healthy this year, and it shows with this ball club.
He also played most of last season with 3 or 4 fouls constantly.
Yes, he did.
And I think one of the adjustments that Oliver Purnell and the staff made was moving Booker up to the top of that press. Last year it was James Mays who guarded the ball out of bounds in that 1-2-1-1 matchup press of theirs. These are bad decisions. DeMontez Stitt taking the ball and leaving his feet and getting a charge. And that's the kind of thing that you can't have empty possessions when you got a lead. You know, one of the ways you hold it is not necessarily by getting stop after stop when you have a lead. You have to score as well.
Let's check in with Heather.
Jay was talking about how Booker has stayed out of foul trouble. Coach Oliver Purnell said that the Tigers' success would be mirrored by Booker's ability to stay on the court and out of foul trouble. So far, only 31 fouls this season. Another reason, other than moving the position on the press, Trevor admitted he worked a lot harder in the offseason so he wouldn't be fouling from fatigue late in games, guys.
Well, when they had him at the baseline in that press, Heather, he had to go back and forth and back and forth. It put him in some tough situations. Duke with a bucket, they cut it to 17. Disney Park celebrates the moments of the game. Pick a statistic. Clemson has dominated it tonight.
Duke in a 1-3-1 half-court trap out of the timeout.
Potter got inside. Potter got his own rebound, then lost it. Shire, good pass to Singler for three, and Singler stepped out of bounds.
A really nice job spotting up and Shire finding him, but nothing has gone right for Duke.
That is the 15th turnover, Jay.
And they are sticking with this 1-3-1, something that Duke brought out a little earlier in the season against Florida State. They use it from time to time, but not extensively, just to give you a different look. And boy, they need a different look against Clemson. Clemson's dominated Duke.
The Tigers came in here 13th in the nation in forcing turnovers. They have done nothing to lessen that reputation as Oglesby hits another bomb. Oglesby with 14.
What great ball movement by Clemson.
Shire just tossed it up with the left hand after he got caught up in the air, and here come the Tigers again. 3-on-2. Booker, look out! For Booker.
I'm not sure he's missed a shot.
He wasn't going to miss that one.
No, he has been the biggest, baddest man on this court.
7 out of 9 from the floor. Somehow he missed 2. We didn't see him.
I'll tell you what, Mike Krzyzewski's substitutions have looked like a hockey game. He's having line changes.
And he can't find a line that will score. Oglesby left alone. Why not take the 3? Wow. Booker keeping it alive. Singler finally gets the rebound.
Well, Booker was climbing the ladder there.
Duke as a team coming into this game has averaged 7.3 more rebounds than its opponent. Clemson only 1.7, but not tonight. The Clemson Tigers are killing the Blue Devils on the board, 31-25, and it seems like more than that. Saturday, we'll bring you 2 big-time college basketball matchups. Connecticut against Michigan at 6 Eastern, then at 9 o'clock. Presented by DirecTV, our Saturday night primetime, number 15, Memphis, number 19, Gonzaga.
Well, this Clemson team has some pretty good balance themselves. Terrence Oglesby, an outstanding shooter on the perimeter. Casey Rivers as well, but you can see a little screen roll to Booker inside, and then Mr. Outside has been Oglesby. Knocking shots down from 3, whether off screens or spotting up. And
any time that Booker has touched the ball inside, something good has happened. I don't think, frankly, he's touched it enough.
I don't either. And, you know, we talked about the confidence, particularly of shooters, as Booker gets another block. Rivers back the other way against Henderson, and Henderson with a great reach in, causing the jump ball situation.
I don't know if Trevor Booker has been on a poster, but he has provided a lot of different opportunities for that to happen.
What an unlikely trifecta this would be if Oklahoma, Duke, and Wake all lose on the same night. Rivers will go to the free throw line. As big as Clemson's win over Duke in the ACC semifinals last year was, I would contend this is bigger because of the style and because of the margin and the circumstances.
Oh, I would agree. And that's been the surprising thing about sort of this Wednesday wow of upsets, of potential upsets, has been the margin. And the margin of Miami's victory over Wake Forest has been stunning, and the margin thus far in the game, there's still almost 7 minutes to go. This thing is not over. But the fact that Clemson has gotten this kind of lead is remarkable.
There was a period of about 2.5 minutes when Clemson looked like it might have lost its way offensively and was taking maybe a little bit too much time off the clock with each possession, not looking for a shot, but then they got it back.
There's an example, Mike, of why Trevor Booker has got to touch the ball more often. He has got to be the player that Clemson runs their offense through. I mean, 16 points, 7 of 9 from the field. And I'll tell you, each one of those 7 rebounds were with both hands. They were big-time rebounds. But when he touches the ball, the defense is going to collapse around him. That's going to open it up for Oglesby and Casey Rivers. And he is either going to score or get fouled if he goes to the basket.
Well, Oliver Purnell had told Heather Cox before the game what, Heather?
Well, exactly that, to be an inside team first and then an outside team. The inside presence had to be a priority, he said, and they've done just that by establishing Trevor Booker. What that's done is soften the outside for Oglesby, and Coach Purnell did say the 2 times we haven't established the inside first have been our 2 losses to Carolina and Wake.
Yeah, that's a great point, Heather. I think what's interesting is, Clemson, the only way to really keep them from getting the ball inside is to take away vision from their guards.
And because of the pace of the game, they haven't been able to do that. Duke hasn't been able to do that. And, you talk about toughness on the road and what that really means. A lot of times toughness is when you go on the road and you're playing a pressing team, to set up your cut, break to the ball, catch it, face the defense, and make a play. Well, Duke didn't do that from the opening tap. And that was really the difference in the game, was every tough play has been made by Clemson in this ballgame.
Paulus, whose shooting has gotten much better as the season has worn along. He got off to a terrible start in that department. Good decision by Andre Young to pull it out at the 5:37 mark.
Clemson wants to take something in transition or take it to the basket if it's there early. Otherwise, they want to run some clock and get the ball into number 35.
And right now, you don't even need points. You just need good, solid possessions. Oglesby got that off in a hurry, didn't they? Instead of using 30 on the shot clock, how about 1?
Well, it was just a great play by Trevor Booker and another line change. I mean, this is like a hockey game.
Yes, it is. They need some Russians right now.
I'll tell you what they're not going to need in their next practice is a basketball. I mean, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be some blood on the floor in the next practice that Duke has.
Clemson has been dominant. What a performance by the Tigers.
(70-43) with 4:11 to go in this game. Let's take a look at Side by Side, brought to you by Cars.com.
Just a remarkable performance by Trevor Booker in this ballgame. 8 of 10, 21 points. And his toughness level has been off the charts. Off the charts.
Well, you remember the first shot that Oglesby took? I think it was that the first 3 he took was that 33-footer that barely touched the rim. Since then, he's been on fire. Booker gets a huge hand as he goes to the bench after picking up his 4th personal.
What a great play here by Booker to knock the ball back out. And those two really enjoying each other. Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside. They used to be Doc Blanchard and Glenn Davis, didn't it? Well, tonight it's been Terrence Oglesby and Trevor Booker.
I mentioned Willis Reed, and you get on me.
I just want to bring back some memories for you.
I didn't even remember that one in the old Soldiers home. Oglesby, nice drive, got it to Grant, double team, knocked out of bounds with 5 on the shot clock. Good defense by Singler inside. Got some help from Plumlee. Timeout on the court. It's a rout at Clemson.
against the press for Duke. 4. They had opportunities to break this press to score, but they weren't able to do it. And Clemson, their pressure gave them opportunities, and they capitalized on those opportunities. The press was the difference in this game for Clemson.
Oglesby, what a quick release off the inbounds pass. Oglesby will get another chance. Really forced that one, though. Singler with a rebound, fouled by Casey Rivers.
And right now, Oliver Purnell is really upset with Terrence Oglesby. Yep. He's had a terrific game, and he probably feels like he's playing with house money.
But those are 2 bad shots. I mean, there's still 3 minutes and 28 seconds left in this game. You know, it would be an extraordinary happening for Duke to make a comeback with this, level of deficit. But that doesn't mean you want to play loose at the end of a game. You still want to stay tight.
Well, I think the other message you're trying to send is if this game was closer, you didn't want to take that shot. Yeah. And certainly in that circumstance.
You don't want to get out of character, in other words. That's exactly right.
Wait, Jerry Grant is going out of the game. He has had a huge impact in this game.
Nice job.
The Clemson bench came to fight, and they were really impactful in this game.
Singler too strong on the free throw, and it comes out to Andre Young.
I'm not sure Kyle Singler's ever had a game where he's had more turnovers than points. And he's got 1 more point than turnovers right now, but where it's even been an issue.
Rivers. He has 7 steals tonight, by the way, which ties the Clemson team record. 9 points for Rivers. He's on virtually every list of career success that you could possibly imagine at Clemson. He has been a great, great player. Mike Krzyzewski had wonderful things to say about him tonight, about how good he has been over the course of his career. Another standing ovation. It is 72-45. I don't know. I can't remember seeing a really good Duke team handled this way.
I cannot either. I'll tell you what, we've seen it for a long time now because it's been since midway through the first half. This game has hardly been in doubt.
Duke has tried every conceivable combination of players, and nobody's helped. Rivers ahead to Oglesby. The second one he missed. That time he decided to dunk it and missed that one. They'll be all over him.
It was too close for him.
Yeah. And another turnover as Booker reaches in and knocks it away. Bad pass by Shire. The 16th turnover. Well, when they watch the tape of this one, they're going to get a good laugh out of Oglesby.
Yeah, well, it's funny when you're winning like this.
Yes.
And that's a good feeling, is when you've blown out a very good opponent on your home floor, and that kind of thing's funny.
Singler with a steal. Rivers reached out and got a hold.
Terrence Oglesby's got it all set up.
That'll give Oliver something to chew on for the next practice. It's got to be the biggest, most dramatic win of his career. And he has done an exceptional job here at Clemson, building his program. As you said, he's recruited really good guys who could play at this level. Not easy to do at Clemson. And now he's got him right near the pinnacle of this league.
Well, and he's got some high-character guys coming in. He's got really high character on his squad now, and he's having another big-time player, Milton Jennings, come in next year. I mean, things are on the upswing here at Clemson.
You know, I was at practice yesterday, and you could tell that they were very, very serious about this game. I mean,
Oliver Purnell even had his managers on the line running sprints when they didn't add up the free throw totals right in practice. I mean, he had Will Sarton on the line running, and it was his 21st birthday. I mean, everybody was ready for this game, managers included.
Thursday Night Showcase presented by T. Rowe Price. We've got a doubleheader for you on ESPN at 7 Eastern. Number 9, Xavier will play in the Atlantic 10 against Temple. Then at 9, action moves to the Big Ten. Wisconsin against number 21, Illinois. That's our Thursday Night Showcase presented by T. Rowe Price on ESPN. Oliver's posse. Well, anytime they spent in the tents since Friday when they started lining up outside for student tickets was well worth the experience. This is something they will talk about the rest of their lives. The night that they laid a 29-point game on the number 3 team in the nation.
You know, Mike, this is the first time in the last 13 games someone has scored more than 70 on Duke. But what's even more impressive is that Duke has been held under 50 points. That is a remarkable defensive performance by this Clemson team.
Smith rims out on one. Thomas offensive rebound and a nice reverse. And we've got a timeout with 27.6 seconds to go. If you're Duke, is this one of these deals where you just burn the tape on this and decide to go on to the next game, or is there a price to pay for this? You talked about having a tough practice coming up.
No, I think they definitely look at this tape, and it's something they're going to have to take very, very seriously because this was not a good performance. They have not played particularly well on the road of late, especially in ACC competition. And this is something they'll never want to forget. They'll want to keep this in the forefront of their minds.
The last time they lost by 20, you've got to go all the way back to 1998 against North Carolina. They lost by 25. This one has the potential to lose by 30 with 27.6 seconds to go. And boy, is there going to be a party at Clemson, South Carolina tonight.
Well, and it's a party that's well-deserved. I mean, this team came ready for a fight, and they took the fight to Duke from the opening tap, and this crowd was magnificent.
Certainly one of the biggest wins in this program's history. It's one thing to lose at Wake Forest the way Duke did. I would rather lose like this than lose on a last-second shot.
Not me.
Not me. Well, that's because you've gone through those practices. Montez Stetson, stand up. We deserve it. And he's right. Singler didn't care for it, just knocks the ball away.